people started talking about, a housing crisis, and they blamed everything on the supply of housing. Well, there may be an argument there. But what was also true at the time is that the mortgage affordability became cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as mortgage costs went down. So in that sense, people, the house prices went up. People weren't spending more of their income on mortgage costs. It's just that they were getting a lot less bang for their buck. So that's a very clear case that the housing affordability crisis was a crisis induced by low rates. And one consequence of that is that, and this is potentially troubling, and it hasn't really fed through yet as far as I can see, is that households have much more, households with mortgage debt have much more debt relative to their income than they used to have. I mean, when rates are up at, in mortgage rates are up in the mid-teens as they were in the early 1980s, you can't take a huge mortgage. That mortgage is going to be limited multiple of your income. Whereas now, I think, I read somewhere a year or so ago that the amount of mortgage debt relative income is 2.5 times what it was in the early
in the 90s.
in the early 1980s. I don't know about the 90s.
Yeah, the 92, I think, people say it hit 15%, but the affordability was, say, 4 or 5 times salary. So the 6% or 4 or 5% of today are more painful than the 15% of then.
Yes.
Because, the debt is so much bigger.
I know, and one would expect that.
Fixed rates.
Yeah, but one would, I think we can get on later if you want to just, how long it takes for this to feed through. But as you know, people take a 3-year fix on their mortgage and then it goes to floating. So given that interest rates only picked up just over 2 years ago, they haven't completely run off. But in general, periods of rising rates tend to bring these speculative booms or these periods of elevated asset prices
gravity
to a head. Yeah, say gravity. So this is Warren Buffett, famous American investor, says that the interest rate is to valuation what gravity is to matter. And then I thought about his comment about gravity, and then I think that interest is holding a whole host of sort of, if you will, sort of financial phenomena like valuations, and we get on to it, savings and how much people borrow. Interest is determining them. So to me, it's almost as if an economy is comprised of all these planets moving through the heavens, held in place by an interest rate, which is balancing all our transactions across time, all what we call intertemporal transactions.
That was a clip from our full-length interview with Edward Chancellor about the impact of ultra-low interest rates. You can watch the full episode right here.